Hey guys, let's talk a little bit about chemistry and when somebody dies by suicide. So I know we're in the midst of the holiday season, and this is a very difficult time for many people, probably most people, I would say. Um, I just finished doing a reading and I wanted to give a little bit of a different perspective on what was said from the person in the spirit world. Now, this young man, an adult, but still a young man all the same, struggled with depression, and he explained it as chemical depression, so chemistry. And the reason that that's important is because sometimes we have situational depression, and then sometimes we have predisposition to depression, which may run in families and things. Now, I'm not a therapist, so but I just know about those two things. I'm sure there's a lot more that goes with it. And some people take medication and it's effective. Some people don't. Some people choose to self-medicate, and sometimes that leads down to another avenue. And I know I talk about suicide a lot, and part of the reason I talk about it so much is because I have been down that journey before myself. And one of the things as an adult, because when I was in younger years, I couldn't put this together, but as an adult who's done a lot of work in therapy and working through my own history of, let's face it, we all have so much traumas and challenges and things in life. And I'm a firm believer in continuing to work on myself, because the more I work on myself, the more clear I am as a medium for people in the spirit world. That's part of taking care of yourself as a medium, is to not have any of your overlays, your history, your traumas, triggers, anything you want to call it, to overlay within a reading, and you can be as clear as possible. And I always do say there's no room for me, Amy Utsman, in a reading anyway. When it's time for me to do a reading, I'm purely a medium. So Amy Utsman stays outside the door, and this is actually a little bit of a break from my life, right? Where I get to spend some time with people in the spirit world, and the people I get to meet globally, frankly, in readings. But let's get back to the topic at hand, because this was stated so differently from this gentleman, and I know this to be true, but I've just never heard anybody mention it this way in the spirit world. I won't use names because I believe in confidentiality. So for the sake of not using this man's name, I'm sure he wouldn't mind, but I didn't ask for permission. I'm just sharing this story. So let's just call him Jared as an example, okay? What he said was, when he arrived into the spirit world, he was treated with somebody as an illness, not somebody who took his life for a frivolous reason. Now, we always know, of course, if somebody's in that space of dying by suicide, that of course they're going to have depression. But his phrase really struck a chord, because it's a phrase that I have used myself at various times should some depression creep up, and it is usually chemistry related. So what he said to his mother was, I didn't lose, the chemistry won. The chemistry won. Now, the outcome was the same. The pain is the same. But why that phrase? Why do I want to do this video right now on that phrase? is because I can relate to it. And I would love for as many people as possible to understand, if you've never been in the shoes of dealing with depression, whether it's tied to a predisposition within the family, whether it is tied to certain medications we know can trigger depression, situational circumstances can trigger depression, but we're talking about chemistry here, right? There's so many factors at play with chemistry within our bodies that sometimes it's hard to know, but the outcome is the same. The outcome is this: the chemistry triggers the bad thoughts, and those bad thoughts then trigger action, right? I will share with you, because I've nothing to hide, but I will share with you some of the thoughts as a result of a chemical reaction tied to a medication. In my history, I dealt with depression, but it's not something I really deal with now. But I had a chemical reaction based on an adjustment of a medicine this past year. So it took me back to those years when I dealt with depression, and oh my gosh, it's really a different perspective looking at it from this age that I am to what I went through in my younger years. Okay. So the thoughts come like this: see, you're a burden. Look, no one's calling and checking on you. No one is reaching out to say hi. So no one's going to miss you anyway. You are causing problems to your partner. If you weren't here, your partner wouldn't be having to deal with your emotional state. Everybody's got things going on in their life, and if you stick around, you're nothing but a problem. Look, you didn't do that reading very well, so therefore you failed at it. Not true. The reading was good, but that's how the chemistry is dropping signs and language in. What also occurs, at least in my experience, I could be walking, we have a 2-story home. I could be walking across the landing, and as if, you could hang yourself right off of that balcony right there. Why don't you just leave? Go leave, take all your pills with you, have some alcohol, the pain will be done. These are the kind of thoughts that come in. Who are you helping anyway? You already deal with epilepsy. That's a problem. So now it's just a problem. You are a problem. Because you are a problem, you're a failure. You are failing because you cannot do this and you cannot do this and you cannot do that because of your epilepsy. So what's the point? You're failing. Notice my tone. Notice the language. Notice the words. They're horrible. They're horrible and they're scary. And that, for me, is just a glimmer to share of the thoughts that come in as a result of chemistry firing away in my body, but giving an emotional reaction. You see what I'm getting at? And why is this so important? Is because this man by the name of Jared, that's the name we're using, said, I didn't lose, the chemistry won. Just a different perspective. I hope that perhaps Jared sharing that line, me sharing some of my insights that have occurred and the thoughts that come with it and how vicious they can be. And I gave you probably not even all the vicious ones. Honestly, I just don't remember, because thankfully I'm not in that constant state. But during that state where the medication really just blew up my system from one minor adjustment. It just blew up my system, made my chemistry just, and the depression horrible in a way, again, that I had not experienced for I don't know how many years. And so I know I'm not a failure. I have an amazing marriage. I have an amazing life. I am lucky. I get to live my calling. I know how lucky I am. I am filled with gratitude on a regular basis, constantly aware of, yeah, I deal with epilepsy. And yes, it's a real pain in the butt, because it can be very disruptive. But I'm still lucky. I am fortunate. I am extremely aware of having what many people don't. So I share this because I want people to know a couple of things. One, if you are having these thoughts, you are not alone, but perhaps you have some control over the chemistry. If you think of it as the chemistry, now you're putting it outside of you, and it's not you. It's not you. It's the chemistry. If you have not dealt with this, but are around people that do or have, perhaps you'll have an understanding of what is going on with them in a way that they cannot explain to you, because there is no way to explain why you're feeling the way you're feeling, because it's a chemical reaction. You cannot explain it. It's not rational. So this is why I wanted to jump on, share this. Is this a lively holiday video? No, it's not. No, it's not. But I felt that is a very important video to share, to offer another perspective of what could be going on with your loved ones who are dealing with depression or transitioned by suicide as a result of depression or chemistry. And when I'm speaking of chemistry, I'm also speaking of those individuals that deal with addiction, because that messes with your chemistry. So if we could look at it this manner, perhaps we may have more compassion for others. Does it make it any easier? Not necessarily. Does it take the pain away? Not necessarily. But maybe, just maybe, it will open your minds a little bit if you have not been down this road before. So take this in the vein that it is intended. I hope it helps at least one person out there. And I want you to know that, yes, you can conquer the chemistry. Does it take a lot of work? Yes, it does. Is it a hard battle? Yes, it is. But you have more power than your chemistry does. So if you separate it from you, then you start to realize it's not you. It is not you. Much love to all of you out there, and all the best through the holiday season. Take care.